Right, so we've got a guest, two guests, Dax and Harry, today.
All right, mate. On cue. He's come to say hello. This is Dax, the cooker.
How old's Dax?
He's 11 now.
Oh.
He's an old boy, so I thought I'd bring him along as you guys all love dogs, so...
Yeah.
We love having
He's
dogs.
not quite sure what's going on and why I haven't taken him for a walk. I mean, I'm not taking him for a walk at the moment, but yeah, he's a bit confused. Just slacking. Come here, mate.
So we'll start. So
How's your day going?
my day,
Or just week?
my week.
Since we last spoke?
Was I on last episode?
No.
What did you talk about last time?
I think after our conversation, we had just a conversation about your conspiracy stuff and just all sorts. Because you end up calling, didn't you, as well?
Oh yeah.
To say another conspiracy.
What was the other conspiracy?
About
Did you make
Queen's
a phone
not dead.
Oh yeah.
Did he make a phone call for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had mixed reviews on the conspiracy stuff. I won't name any names. Some people hated it, but I had someone come up to me yesterday that's well into it.
Yeah.
And we was training yesterday, and he came and was like, "Yeah, I listened to the podcast." He was like, "Yeah, I've been looking at all the stuff like this." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm not insane.
We'll have to do an episode and get Tadas on to have a debate with you.
But I would just like to clarify that I don't actually think the Earth is flat. I just find that stuff interesting to see people's arguments about it, and I thought it would be funny to bring that to the podcast. And it's nice to have a little...
You don't need to explain
It's
yourself.
nice to have a little open mind, though, isn't it? And find stuff funny. So yeah, anyway, my week. Can I tell you, actually, my Instagram is just full of flat Earth stuff now. I don't know why.
Because it listened.
Yeah, it must do. It's mental.
Is it just Eddie Bravo and what's the other guy's name?
Literally, yeah, all on the thing. It's just like goes on. It's just like my flat Earth theory, and I'm like, oh god. Yeah, week. Stressful week. Yeah. Stressful week. I can't.
Great.
Yeah, stuff that I can't really say. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Percentage?
Probably like 50%.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Have you thought about the noose?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it is what it is.
Have the ups and downs.
Yeah. Hopefully next week's better.
Yeah.
You?
Pretty good. I'm like past the point of being tired. The last 2 days I've had about 2 hours sleep. No, 2 hours each day, sorry. So about 4 hours in the last like 2 days.
You should have a child, because then like that would just be every day, and then it just gets really exciting.
I feel like John is his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He always
Like
does
most
this.
of us are.
He always does this. Like, so like fair play to him. The other week he like helped me out for like 4 days because you didn't have much work on, and then so
didn't have much work, and now I just fucked myself.
Yeah, not on that days, and then on the Friday he had like absolutely loads of work booked in. So rather than like spreading it over the week, it was like, yeah, I've got to do this on Friday, this on Friday, this on Friday, and then now all of a sudden he's absolutely flat out and he's not sleeping. So,
But I've got to the point where
you can operate on no sleep?
Yes.
Are you training for the 24-hour rollathon?
I'm practicing.
Yeah.
Getting prepared for it. But no, I reckon even with the lack of sleep, I'm on probably about 80. Doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm missing something here. 80. What, you're running at 80%?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So
I've already lost.
Clearly he doesn't listen to the podcast.
I started off well strong. I do.
So yeah, you all right, Harry?
Yeah, not
Well,
wow.
introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Harry. I train with Mason and John.
Mainly me.
Down at Newbury Jiu-Jitsu, the awesome club that Bernie created.
I would say lack of training at the moment, but
Yeah, we'll let
past-
you off.
Yeah, maybe we'll go into it. But yeah, the past 3 years haven't been the best training-wise for me, but that's all, you know,
We'll get
put it
into that.
perspective. But
Where
it
did
is. It is what it is. But apart from that, yeah, I'm all good.
yeah.
Just been hounding John daily for the 11 months. Like, we go back years, John. Why haven't I been on the podcast?
I keep saying we want to prep ourselves and make sure we're in like good form for such a guest.
Yeah.
I'm obviously joking there. Like, I think unfortunately for you guys, like having me on might be scraping the bottom of the barrel.
No, not at all. We're going to dig in deep and find those stories.
I think you've got quite an interesting, because you've trained for a long time, but just it's always weird because I say you've done what I done, where you've jumped around and done loads of different stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas John's always just trained at Newbury. That's it. So.
Yeah.
So where did it all start for you for martial arts? What was your first martial art as well?
My first martial art.
Aikido.
Aikido. Luckily, it wasn't really anything like that. It all started really, I guess, going back to when I was like 8. I didn't do martial arts, but I played rugby from the age of 8 up to about 18, and between 16 and 18, obviously, started partying and drinking, and those 2 years of rugby were probably my worst 2 years between 16 and 18. So at 18, I gave up rugby because I was like, I didn't reach the level that I thought like, I deserved to play county rugby and stuff like that, but I didn't make the team and stuff.
Did you ever have any injuries during that rugby?
No, just lots of broken noses because I was a tight head prop. Right. So I was always, obviously I'm a bigger guy, but I was quite like large as a kid. So from like the ages of like 10, I was like twice the size of most of the lads on the rugby field, which I think is why I had it quite easy to begin with and thought like I was better than I was.
Sorry, John's just turned me off. Yeah.
So I played rugby.
Hang on, just 2 seconds.
No worries, mate.
Just put a beep in there.
Yeah, played rugby on and off for 10 years, didn't make it to a level I wanted to get to, and then between like 18 and 19 I just like partied with my friends and like
Did you go to uni?
Didn't do anything. Not then. Part of my story, part of my introduction to MMA actually was through university. So between like 18 and 19, I remember my sister getting married to my brother-in-law Matt, and there being like family photos, and I was like, oh my God. And I like weighed myself and I like made it up to about 20 stone.
Sure.
So I was like, I need something else in my life.
Did you have hair then?
I had a thick head of hair that I hated.
That was back from when you put in a picture of a UFC fighter, and I thought you were taking a dig at me. So then I found a photo of him like when he was really fat.
You took a picture of what was the guy's called?
Fat bastard.
Fat bastard. That's it. Yeah.
Compared it to a picture of him, but little did I know he was actually.
He was comparing you to that Dagestani with.
Yeah, saying like he's a killer.
Yeah,
the pirate.
But I thought he was just taking the piss out of me, so I was just like, well, I'm gonna get him back.
Yeah, John's always on the defense.
Yeah.
Always looking to get that one up on you, which I've got used to over the years.
So you basically got really fat.
I got really fat. I was a big
because you quit rugby.
I was big in rugby, but I think because I just went down there. I wasn't like an alcoholic or druggie or anything, but like I was like,
you was an alcoholic drug user.
Thursday, Friday, Saturdays with my friends, my close friends who I'm still friends with from school now, will attest Harry used to be a quality laugh, like probably to laugh at more times often than not, because I was just didn't have any focus or drive, or I never knew what I was going to do in life as a job or anything like that. So I think like having the rugby at least gave me a bit of structure. So not having that, I was like, I'm just going to go out drinking 3 times a week. And it was fun, but obviously, I got really fat. So
have you always lived in Newbury?
I've always lived in Newbury, apart from when I lived in Preston for a couple of years for university. But yeah, I've always lived in Newbury. So I played rugby up at Newbury Rugby Club.
Blues.
The Blues, yeah. My old coach Andy Willett, he's a legend. He's still kicking around now. He's done some rehab for me in the past few years for my back and stuff, some physio and that. And one of my closest friends, who I'm still friends with now, George, met him there. So yeah, I've always lived around Newbury, known everyone around Newbury, and yeah. So that's sort of how it started. Like I played rugby and then I got fat and I was like, I need to change something. The other thing about rugby is that because I got to a level where it was beginning to be, in inverted commas, more professional, like 16, 17, 18, they're looking for county and up and coming younger players. I didn't like the pressure of letting the team down.
Yeah.
So I was a tight head prop my whole career because my body shape didn't changed really, and obviously rugby, like, it quite depends on, like, I'd probably be a flanker now or something like that.
Similar to what we call John.
Yeah, so like I just remember like feeling like I was letting the team down, not performing so well and stuff like that. And my dad's not around anymore, but my dad was the coach of the B team rugby club, and then I eventually got moved down to the B team, and I was like, I'm not being coached by my dad. Like, my dad was a legend, but he never, like, you know, he was there to help out. Like, I wanted the coaches coaching me, not my dad.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, because he was just there to like help out and make sure the B team kids didn't like run off and cause mayhem, basically. So yeah, I got really overweight. My mate had introduced me to UFC. My manager, who's one of my close friends at the time of a job I was in, showed me like UFC, and I was disgusted by it. I was like, what is this?
How old were you then?
18. It would have been 18.
What sort of year would that have been?
So that would have been 2008.
Oh, right.
Yeah, 2008. He introduced me like in the back room of the game store. Have you all
Yeah.
lived in and around
Yeah.
Newbury? Yeah, I worked in game. My mate Joe, showed me UFC because our manager Russ, was into it. And
Was
I was
that
like,
when it was on the corner?
In the high street.
when it was next to the alleyway?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Used to
yeah,
go down
the
to
really-
where Parkway used to be.
Yeah, the really thin shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he showed me UFC in the back room on our lunch break once, and I was like, this is not me. Like, I was like disgusted by it almost. But then I think my mate like brought like a UFC game or something, and like I saw Shogun Rua, and I was like, oh, what's he like? He fights, because this is going back to when MMA did have more style versus styles, and I was like, he looks different to like the rest of the fighters.
And
The
what
way
did
he
he
fights.
fight? What was his
So
style?
he's from the Shootbox gym,
Yeah.
like, which is a renowned Muay Thai MMA gym in Brazil. So like I did a lot of research into that, and I was like, oh, he does Muay Thai. I was like, I reckon I could do Muay Thai. I don't want my mates were like, shut up, Harry. Like, what do you want about? I was like, I reckon I could do Muay Thai. So I did a little bit of research, and then I started training with Liam Hamilton at Jeremy Bailey's gym, and it was literally around the corner from here
Yeah.
in the Greenham Air Base. So at about 19, I think either late 18s, just turned 19, I just walked up to a class, didn't drive, so big shout out to Sarah. I didn't drive until I was 23.
Sure.
Really?
Yeah, Sarah would drive me to training and pick me up, so massive shout out to her, Sarah. Who's
A lot like now, where she's got to drive you around now.
She's got a lot of practice in it. It's been about a decade, but
Yeah.
she's getting used to that again, unfortunately for her. Yeah, so I started doing Muay Thai, and I remember like the first time I walked in, like for some reason I had it in my head, because I said to my friends, like, I was like, oh, I'm going to compete and I'm going to be a fighter, and that's when they were like, shut up, Harry, what are you on about? But that gave me some motivation. And I remember
Prove 'em
walking in.
wrong.
Yeah, I remember walking into Liam, who still runs a gym now, really nice gym actually out in I'm going to get it wrong, even though I've worked in and out around Reading for over a decade. I think it's near the Woodley area, Super Fire Muay Thai gym. So he's got a real nice facility up there now. I remember walking into him and I was like, hi, I'm Harry. And I actually went with my mate George, because George, my mate from rugby, he had done some kickboxing, more traditional kickboxing, but he'd done some before.
Was that local?
No, I don't know. I think he'd done it when he was much, much younger.
Right. What was it Bailey's gym here?
Yeah, so
And what
it was.
he? Because he was sort of like MMA fighter, wasn't he?
Jeremy Bailey, I mean, don't quote me on this, especially you, Jeremy, if you hear it. I love you. Thanks for all
don't
the help
think
and everything. I know, but
He's probably in prison.
no. He's still putting on fight shows and stuff, and he's still promoting his events. To be fair, every interaction I ever had with Jeremy was spot on. But yeah, it was under Liam Hamilton, my Muay Thai coach, taught Muay Thai out of Jeremy Bailey's gym, which was always the case up until like the past 5-6 years, I think, when Liam got his own place.
Yeah, because he's still got a gym in Basingstoke, hasn't he?
Jeremy has, yeah. And now Liam's got his own place in Reading.
Yeah. Because I think that's where you cross paths with my dad, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember first walking into that gym, like not really knowing. I sort of, because of the UFC game and my mate showing it to me, I didn't really know what MMA was, but I knew what Muay Thai was, because like I just became like obsessed with it from like a really casual perspective, not like the boys who do Muay Thai and compete in Muay Thai and that.
Yeah.
And I just remember walking into Liam and being like, hi, I'm Harry. I wasn't like too overbearing, and he was like, oh, nice to meet you, what did you do, blah, 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 told him about rugby and getting out of shape. And at the end of it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to compete. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Thailand in like 4 or 5 months and I'm going to have a fight. And he was like, that's dumb. Do you like getting cuts and getting scars? I was like, no, it'd be all right. So he threw me like into the deep end because I was like really, for some reason, suddenly like motivated and driven about competing.
But you were like overconfident in a sense.
I didn't know
like,
anything.
As in like unintentionally overconfident because
I
you
knew,
didn't know it. So you were like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to compete. I'll be fine. So he's almost gone. All right, have this then.
Yeah. So my first like 6 weeks, there were Jeremy Bailey's guys at the time, and then Liam's guys, the Muay Thai guys. So I sort of knew the Muay Thai guys, but I'd always have to spar. There's like I was a 19 stone, 18, 19-year-old. So you know I was sparring the Polish lads, and it was for the first 6 weeks was just. I don't know, you can swear on here, can't you?
Yeah.
I was getting the absolute shit kicked out of me for 6 weeks. And then they were like, all right, okay, yeah, if you're serious about this then, like, come train hard, and then you can compete. Like, I think they thought that I wouldn't.
They were trying to see if you'd quit.
Yeah, because basically, I remember, I've forgotten his name. He was a nice guy. He was one of Jeremy's lads, and he worked on the front desk as well. And when I'd like get to the end of the Muay Thai session, they'd go and get him from the front desk, right? He was probably half my size, but you know, all Polish guys I've ever met on the mats are all in shape and quite serious about training. And I'd have to spar him, and he wouldn't like, you know, I didn't get concussions or broken nose. He would just leg kick the absolute living shit out of me. And I'd go home and be like, because I still lived at home, obviously 18, 19 years old, working at game in a retail job, like not being able to walk, thinking it's the best thing ever, and my mum being like, Jesus Christ, what's that wrong with your leg? Like, but yeah, I thought it was the best thing ever. So I did that for a few months, and then eventually told Liam, yeah, I'm gonna go Thailand. I'm gonna go be a fighter.
And how did that go?
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to Thailand again with my mate George, and I like treated it as like not a holiday at all, but it was like, because I hadn't gone to university, and all my friends, not all my friends, majority of my friends went to university, so I felt like I was missing out a bit. So it was really good, like experience for me, because I met, you know, like I lived, I went to Phuket to train at Tiger Muay Thai for a month, and I lived on a strip in the rainforest where the gym is, just like 5-minute drive away. So from not driving, living at home, like had my own moped, had my own sort of like my own place to stay, and obviously the maid, and that would tide it up. Like it was great. And we lived in this strip on two sets of three like houses, basically small rooms, that was owned by the like chief of the police in the area. So I was like, oh, that'd be safe, that'd be good, that'd be fun. And obviously the other 5 houses, or 4 houses, because George stayed in one, was like a New Zealand lad, an Australian lad, an American lad, and a Swedish lad. Were they all training as well? And they were all training, and they were all super sound, and they could tell that like George was there because he was like, oh yeah, I'd like to experience that. My mate George never, like, he didn't want to compete or anything. He was there for the experience. He thought it was a good idea. Like he thought, oh, Harry wants to do this, that's something I like to do. But I was there to like train and like be serious about competing.
Professional Muay Thai.
Yeah. Basically, that's what I thought was going to happen. Like I've been quite warped in my ideas and views on my training path over the years.
Nice to have goals.
Yeah. But yeah, they all saw that I was like quite young, quite dumb, but not quite as dumb as some of the other kids. So they all really helped me out, because there was one kid who came up and stayed in the same block of flats as us, and like he turned up the first night, he went out partying, he was there to train, got arrested. The chief constable had to come get him, return him home, and then like he had to pay the chief constable of the police force, like ring his parents up to pay thousands of dollars to get rid of the drug carrying crime that he'd been charged for, and then he had to go home in like a day because he'd spent all his money. So yeah, going there was really cool, because I met a load of people, just normal people. Some of them were like, a couple of them I remember in Thailand, there was one American guy called Jesse who was doing MMA, and he was like the party animal, but also like a pro MMA fighter. But the other guys, I've forgotten their names, which is real bad, but he's going back like 17 years now. Yeah. The Australian and Kiwi lad, and as well as the Swedish lad, they were like, just looked after me, gave me loads of advice, like, and said these are the sessions I should do, these are the training coaches I should do privates with and stuff. So yeah, so just lived and breathed training as a foreign Thai fighter with 5-6 months experience training in Thailand for a month, and it was like one of the best experiences to this day I've had, because it's just Thailand's just amazing as well.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, I had my first fight, which I always said I wanted to do. And my head coach Liam was like, "Yeah, all right," but I think he thought I was going to like ask to fight in like one of the stadiums. I was never going to do that. I'd already researched like Tiger Muay Thai. They did like a monthly fight,
Like
so
an
it's
in-house.
it's a gym fight. It's still a fight. They're still like, yeah, it's like a gym fight basically. They put on like 12 fights and they have a barbecue and a party basically, but they're like all to the finish. So I did that fight, and then I had like 2 or 3 days of partying, and then came home. And
I
that was,
always
like, my
love
first
the videos you
introduction.
see of like proper Thailand training where they're like smoking and then they just like put the fag out, like batter each other up and then start smoking again. Like
I've forgotten what it's called. Is it called Cat? But I remember it like prolifically, like because I do like me and George would do like running in 1 or 2 sessions a day, and like halfway through the sessions, the instructors would go get like it was. I remember it being like a Sainsbury bag full of leaf. I think it's called Cat, and they'd chew it. It's that
Yeah.
stimulant drug, and they'd all chew that like in between the sessions to like keep them on point and stuff. But all of the Thai instructors and everything I saw like, and trained with were phenomenal. Like, and it was just I was like, this is what it's like to be a fighter. And I met there were some famous people over there. Ray Elby, I did his MMA class. So I didn't know what MMA was, but I liked the idea of it. And I'd done Ray Elby.
MMA was a bit different then, wasn't it? It's developed a lot from what it would have been then.
Yeah.
Like the ground, like you wouldn't have really been introduced to like jiu-jitsu as such. It was just a bit like scrambly.
Well, this is probably... So I remember doing research on Ray Elby as well, knowing that he was the head coach, because it's like advertised on their website, like who runs what classes and stuff. And Ray Elby was like an MMA jiu-jitsu guy. And I remember I said to George, wasn't interested in that at all, because he'd done judo at like a young age and he wasn't bothered by the groundwork. So I was like, I'm going to go along to this MMA, like jiu-jitsu for MMA class. And I went along, and I remember rolling with they showed a couple of techniques, we did a couple of techniques, and then they're like, right, now we're going to roll. And I was partnered up with a roided up Eastern European. That sounds like a stereotype, but
There's
it was.
a theme coming down here, isn't there?
And he like tapped me out, and even Ray Elby, like I was quite like starstruck, because Ray Elby had been on, I think, the Ultimate Fighter show, I think, the one where they stay in a house and they compete, and one of them gets a contract.
Yeah, I remember that.
Same as like Jeff's been, and stuff. I think Ray Elby had been on that, so I was like a bit starstruck by him, and he came over and he was like, "Why did you tap to that?" I was like, "Oh, because I couldn't breathe." And he was like, "You shouldn't have fucking tapped to that, you idiot." And then I was a bit like, "Oh, right, well, I'm not made for this jiu-jitsu stuff." So I just left the class. I was like, "Thanks, see you later." And I just stuck to Muay Thai for about 4 years after that.
But that was training not in Thailand.
No, I say I lived and trained like a fighter in Thailand.
Just beep that bit out.
Sorry. Yeah.
I get told off as well.
Otherwise, the whole thing would just be like noises.
I did a month in Thailand, but with only 5 months training experience.
Yeah.
Like I went and trained for a month and
Did
had
you
a
find
fight.
like it was almost like a double XP by being there?
It was like quadruple, because like I got to live and breathe as what I presumed like a fighter would do, you know, like because I sort of, like I say, I knew what MMA was. I'd seen like the Ultimate Fighter and I played the game or something, but I didn't really know what MMA was.
I think randomly you just said about people that did Ultimate Fighter. I think Clive Elliott did that as well.
Did he?
I think he was part of that. Yeah.
Was he one of the coaches? Wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
someone would have to Google and check that. Bernie will know 100%, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
In the early days of his training.
So your first real taste of jiu-jitsu, you were just like, no, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
And then you just stuck with Muay Thai for 4 years.
So I had the fight in Thailand, won that, got a really cool nickname from the fight because
What is it?
it was the Thais called me Horrible Harry for the rest of the time I was there.
That's it. That's
Just
what they
'cause-
call you now.
Just because I didn't understand the rule set of Muay Thai. I knew the clinch was like 10 seconds in a Thai clinch, 10 seconds to work sort of thing, which is similar to K1 style. But me being 19 and young and dumb, like when I knocked the guy down in the first round, like I carried on punching him, and the ref was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
You alright?
So yeah,
I've got a customer just arrived.
one match. Want to pause it? Can you pause it?
No, there'll be a while, so you guys continue and I'll jump back in.
Okay.
I'll go outside with them.
Alright.
You stay here, Dax.
You going for a meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done so Thailand, done that, won that fight, come back.
Yeah.
So then where were you training for the 4 years?
So I trained basically at Liam Hamilton's
Yeah.
and Jamie
And that was here,
Bailey's.
when it was still here?
It was about a year up at Greenham Air Base, and then Jeremy's gym moved to the industrial unit where Kev's got his Basingstoke Muay Thai gym. Jamie Bailey's gym moved to there. So again, Sarah was being a legend and driving me back and forth 2 or 3 times a week. And I'd always had the idea of like doing jiu-jitsu in the back of my head, but I just stuck with Muay Thai. I thought, I sort of learned a bit more about MMA and jiu-jitsu, and I was like, right, these things take time, like let's just focus on one thing. So I just did Muay Thai, and I think about 2 years later I had my first fight on a show. That was on Jeremy Bailey's Ronin, which I think is still like still putting on fights and stuff today. And I remember Jeremy, like the day of the morning, because I had to go to the gym to weigh in, he was like, "Oh look, like your opponent's dropped out, but someone else's opponent's dropped out, like so you're going to be fighting this guy." And the guy I was fighting was a big, hench, muscly guy who I'd sort of trained with, but cross-trained with out of Jeremy's class. So that like threw me off a lot. Like thinking, I know how tough he is, how hard he is, and stuff like that. So I had to go and fight someone like I sort of knew on that night. But that was the first time I competed on like a proper show, have a walkout song.
Where was that in Basingstoke?
That was in Aldermaster. No, it wasn't Aldermaster. Aldershot.
Oh yeah.
I think it was in Aldershot. So it wasn't like, it was semi-local.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to do weigh-ins and get like my hands wrapped in that, and I was like loving it. And I remember first time all my friends came, which was like I was super like, because I remember like 2 years ago
you were telling them, "I'm gonna fight.
Fuck off, you're never gonna do this," and they were pretty excited for me. None of them are into like that sort of like combat sports or anything, but like they were proper supportive, which was quite cool to see, especially at like 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember the announcer, as I walk out for that fight, the announcer was like, right, he was like geeing me up, sort of like how Dana White does to, when he's doing like the Ultimate Fighter like introduction for the fighters. He's like, you only get this one opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And the announcer, my coach, was like, right, now it's time to switch on and get fired up, start getting worked up. And I was just like, deadpan face, and they were like, what's wrong? Like, you need to get worked up, you're going out. And I just remember being like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And they were like, even Liam said to me afterwards, he's like, it's kind of weird that you were just like deadpan. But I was like, I remember just having tunnel vision, and not in like a, like, look at me, how cool I am. Like, I was just like, I don't need this outside noise. I know what training I've done. I'm focused on this. Like, and I think because I was a young guy who'd only had a couple of years experience, they're trying to like make sure I wasn't going to just like flop when I went out there in front of a crowd, because I was one of the early fights, obviously. And yeah, I remember walking out to that. It was a great feeling. Won that fight, luckily, but only by decision. So it went to like all 3 rounds.
What would that be? 3 5-minute rounds?
No, because it was amateur K1 rules. It was 3 threes.
Yeah, right.
3 threes.
That's still a lot, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the one thing I remember, because obviously my first fight in Thailand ended in the first round. I won it in the first round. I just remember that fight specifically, when you sit down in between rounds, you kind of suddenly realise you're like, oh, shit, I've got to get back up. Again. It's fine walking out, zoning in, locking in, whatever you want to call it, to a fight.
A lot of people have that mad adrenaline dump when they do that.
Yeah, which
first
is
round's over, you sit down and then it just like comes over you.
Which is what I experienced, because I even, again, to this day, I must have been 21, 22 then. And I just remember the second round, like, they were like, right, you're winning, stay on the outside, keep picking him apart, like, blah, 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 blah. Use the knees if he steps in. And I remember just standing up for the second round being like, oh my God, I'm like gassed. It's like the first time I've done a weight cut.
That's going to right beyond John's mic.
Sorry. Sit down, mate.
Yeah, so you was already like...
Second round, I obviously had the adrenaline dump, And I just remember standing back up off the stool and being like, "Oh, this is when like the work actually starts kicking in." And I remember in the second round, I was just trying to stay on the outside and like counter him basically, which is how I sort of trained. And I remember landing a clean head kick on him, and all my friends and coaches were like, "Yeah, go, finish him." But I was so gassed, I landed a clean head kick on this giant wedge of a bloke. And he wobbled and that, and I just backed off and backpedaled for the next like minute because I was like, I've won the round.
Yeah.
I'm proper gassed, and he hit pretty hard. And then in the third round, I just landed some knees on him and then backpedaled, and like it was realising how to manage that adrenaline. That like fight sort of opened up for me, like going on to compete and stuff, because dealing with adrenaline is like adrenaline dump was like a massive thing that they hit. No, I don't think even my coach had really like talked about it or anything.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, no one really does talk about it actually, but because I remember the first comp that I did in jiu-jitsu and did the 5 minutes or whatever, and then like, got up, walked off the mat, and then I was just like, I need to fucking go outside and get some fresh air, because it was like, just felt like sick, like
it's especially in those, is that jiu-jitsu especially in those sports halls, man. It gets
sweaty,
muggy.
So you won that one, but on decision. Won that one. And at this point I think Sarah had gone to university and I'd just done Muay Thai, and I'd been up to visit her a few times, and I was like, not sure what I was doing with my life, blah blah blah. So I was like, I made friends with like her next door neighbours, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to come up and get a house with us in Preston next year, and you can come to university?" And I was like, sure. So like I stopped doing Muay Thai and Newbury, obviously, because I was like 9 months of the year I was up in Preston pretty much. So training sort of stopped for a little bit, but then I remember speaking to one of the guys, Nick Pearce, in my class. Nick Pearce is now like a black belt and runs his own like MMA jiu-jitsu club like up there, and we're both talking about MMA and he hadn't trained jiu-jitsu at this point.
He'd done a little bit. Done a little bit, because he actually told me, he was like, "Oh, I know this guy called Phil Jackson, so like I just want to make sure I go through all the people I've trained with, because I respect and love all the time and effort they put into me." And Phil Jackson was one of like the biggest probably influences in my training career. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "What gym is it at?" And they were like, he was like, "Oh, it's not a gym, it's just we go around this guy's house, it's a matted out room, and there's a few lads that like to scrap."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I've had a couple of fights, I reckon I could do this." So I went there, and it literally was Phil Jackson. He's an ex-boxer, walking around on crutches like me as at the moment, because he'd had loads of knee surgeries and knee issues. Grey old guy who walks with a walker stick basically, and he matted out a room in his flat for people to train, and we would just go there and he would teach us techniques, because he did like traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu when he was younger. He did boxing, traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, and then he moved on to like he had some competition in Vale Tudo, which is what MMA
it's how it started. It's
like, almost no hold bars.
The old UFC, wasn't it?
Like, so we'd go there, and he'd teach us some techniques, and we'd drill some stuff, and then it would be me and 6 or 7 other, like surprisingly, for training in the guy's house, there was like 5 or 6 like real good guys there. And so we just go there, drill, and then spar, and that sort of kept me ticking over while I was at.
And that wasn't just Muay Thai though; that was like
university
MMA.
That was my real, when I sat, because Phil obviously in his own house, would train in his own house. He'd sit down and chat with you, and I'd be like, "Oh, I've done Muay Thai, but like I'd love like to get." I was watching the UFC like religiously at this point, because you could keep up with it, because there was like 6 of them a year. So you could keep up with them. And I was like, "Yeah, I love this sport." So he was like, "All right, yeah, come along." They weren't classes really. He was like, "Yeah, come along the 3-4 times a week, however many times you can make it, and like you can join in with the classes in inverted commas, and we'll start trying to teach you some fundamentals and basics." So that was like my real, bar the Ray Elby moment, coaching moment in Thailand. That was my first introduction. So we'd drill some jiu-jitsu basically, and then we'd spar MMA. Obviously you'd have to take it in turns, because it was a small flat with a matted out room. But you'd take it in turns, spar and MMA basically. Drill jiu-jitsu, spar MMA. And that was my first introduction to it. And the first time I realised like how much I liked jiu-jitsu was in Preston. I knew Preston was a bit fruity, I guess, should we say is the word, on nights out. And obviously I was still, at this point in my life at 22, I was still going out partying and training. And one of my housemates, his name was Aaron, he was local, he was from Preston, and he was at university as well, and he trained at the Muay Thai gym, and we'd gone to the Muay Thai gym together and stuff, and like, but I was like, I'm a student, I can get basically free training from Phil, so I went now and then to him to the Muay Thai club, and one night he was being a drunk dickhead from what I can remember, and he got into a fight, and even though I'd only known him for like 6 months, he got into a fight and he went into a Thai clinch and tried to knee the guy, but just threw himself back into the concrete and his head obviously cracked, and he was like, ugh. So the guy got on top of him and was like cracking him in the face, and his head was cracking. And I was like, oh shit, I've never like been in like this sort of situation. So I just jumped on the guy and like put him in a rear naked choke. And I wasn't like a dickhead to him, because I was like, Aaron was being a bit of a drunk dickhead or whatever. I was like, so I just like talked to him. I was like, look, I could put this choke on. I know my mate was being a dickhead, but as long as you're cool with me, I'll let you go, and like you can get up and go off, and I'll look after my mate. And he was like, all right. So I let go of the rear naked choke, got up, and he kind of just like looked at each other, and he walked off. And then I got to look after her, help Aaron up and that. And that's when I was like, the jiu-jitsu is pretty cool. Like, I didn't have to like crack anyone in the face, didn't have to like damage myself or risk, doing serious damage to someone else. I was like, it's a pretty powerful thing to be able to control someone. Yeah. Especially when this guy was, obviously, when anyone's in a street fight, they're like,
massive.
This guy was big.
Yeah.
But he was bigger than me.
There was like 6 of them.
It was only one guy. It was only one guy. He was bigger than me. And the fact that like I'd done like 4-5 months of drilling some techniques in a guy's front room, and like I got to use it, I was like, oh, this is quite cool. So yeah, did a couple of years of that with Phil Jackson under his Jackson Vale Tudo banner. Never competed or anything, but a couple of the guys who had more experience than me that trained with me like fought on the local shows and stuff, and I got a bit of experience cornering and coaching, like helping coach them and stuff. Because Phil was the first sort of coach, I guess, because it's more personable, because he's not really at a gym or teaching a class. He was like, you're too nice. Like, I was told this like in sparring a lot from coaches, but in a different way. He was like, you're way too nice to your training partners in sparring. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you're letting them beat you up. And I was like, yeah, but I can take it. And he was like, no, that's great. Yeah. But like over time, getting beaten up is not going to do you any good. And you're just being too nice, and you don't have to hurt your training partners. But he was the first one who like made me like believe I had some ability. He was like, you're actually really good at boxing, and you're learning the basics of jiu-jitsu quite quickly. He was like, put it on your partners so that they get better. And he was the first sort of person that gave me like some confidence in like training, because I think I trained Muay Thai in that because I got real fat, didn't have a lot of confidence in that. So big shout out to Phil, because he was a big influence. He was like, if you stay at university, because he knew that like my course, I might not finish my course and stuff, or whatever you do. He was like, just like be more confident, like still look after your partners, but like you've got ability and you're sensible, so like use it like to help people. So that was a really big moment in my martial arts career, I would say, because like to this day I still think of that.
Yeah. Is he still coaching himself?
Phil, I haven't spoken to him in 4 or 5 years. He likes to fly under the radar. I won't say much more else than that. He's just a real sound guy, and I don't think he's had the easiest life, basically. Right. And he tried to give. I think he loved martial arts and combat sports, and he was just trying to give something back to We weren't all kids. They were like we were all in our mid to late 20s. Yeah. There was like another guy called Jamie there who would come train, and sometimes we'd go train at his house when Phil was like away doing work and stuff like that. So what's the question?
No, just said like, does Phil still training and that?
I don't know, because he was quite immobile, even though he taught the techniques a lot of the time. He was quite immobile.
I mean, you said he was old.
And he was like early 50s then.
Oh, right, yeah. So.
And this is going back 15, well, yeah, about nearly 15 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope Phil's still kicking about because he's an absolute legend and a character. And that was the best thing as well, being like young and into MMA and stuff. Like we'd do all this training at Phil's house and then we'd stay for an hour or two and watch old UFC.
Yeah.
It sounds like it might be weird, but he was a genuine like legend. Sarah met him he was just a super nice guy.
Yeah.
So thanks, shout out to Phil because he gave me the confidence to like keep it up, because that's what I found when I started doing jiu-jitsu when I moved to MMA. So I came back from university 2013 roughly. And I was like, right, I don't want Sarah to have to keep driving me and I want to do MMA. So I started my new job where I work now. And I was an apprentice then, so I wasn't doing the sort
Still
of...
not driving?
I waited because I was going to get a job with them and they were going to pay for me to drive, so I was learning to drive. So then I looked up Gods of War in Reading in, about 2013, 2014. Are they still going? So Phil's not recently, but semi-recently, because he moved to America for a fair few years. The gym closed down.
That's what I was going to say, but they have reopened.
But now he's got one up in High Wycombe.
Right, yeah.
It's in like a church. It's quite a cool setup.
Because was that the one where they did the Interclub recently?
Yeah, so end of last year, that's where
you took a couple of guys, didn't you?
Both Wheels had their first fight, and Cam competed on the jiu-jitsu competition as well. So yeah, Phil's still kicking about. He's a legend as well. Super nice guy. So like 2013, 14, I started doing MMA basically at Gods of War. But Phil had moved to America, so I was trained under James Matthews, who's Mark Bennett Muay Thai now in Reading. Yeah. So he was like the head coach, and during the week when James wasn't there, then I was like under the guise of Chris Buxey, Mark Wade and Carl Grady, who were basically like a competition team there. Yeah. And I also met Mark Linders there as well. He was like, because he was down in Reading for university. He was doing, I can't remember, some sort of science, because he's a clever lad, doing some science degree at Reading University. And Mark would actually teach the jiu-jitsu classes. And that's when I first started doing like proper structured jiu-jitsu classes.
Brazilian?
Yeah. Yeah. So they did do gi classes, but obviously being young and more into I was always way more natural at like muscle reflex activity. So striking was way more natural to me in any boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai than jiu-jitsu ever was. Like I even to this day, I find jiu-jitsu hard. But yeah, Mark Linders, who's like a black belt now out of the Progress Stealth Gym up north, like quite a good like he was competing and stuff like that, and he was blue belt. I think he just got his blue belt and he was teaching the jiu-jitsu classes at Gods of War.
That's quite common back sort of that time though. There wasn't that many purple, brown, black belts around, you know.
No, there were a couple of other guys who were teaching there before Mark, but they were more like gi guys. And I think obviously when Phil left, I think they maybe moved on and trained somewhere else. They were brothers, but they trained predominantly in the gi. But obviously I only wanted to do no gi really, because I was like, I'm going to be in the UFC. Yeah. I've had 2 fights. I've won both of those.
That's it. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Big things coming. So I started doing jiu-jitsu under Mark, and then MMA under like Kyle, Aaron, Chris, Kyle and James Matthews. And it was proper awesome gym. I would have to get the train up. I'd drive to get picked up, go to work in Reading all day, come back, go home, get the train to Reading, train for 3.5 hours, come home, get the train back.
That's
and I'd do that 5 days a week.
Yeah.
5 days a week. And I loved it. Loved every second of it. And that's where I also met Arta.
Right.
I remember getting on the train one day from Newbury to Reading, and I think like Arta was just like realised I had some training gear on me or something, and he was like, "You going to Gods of War?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I've experienced some Eastern European jiu-jitsu guys before, and briefly in training in Thailand and that, and I was like, "Oh god, this class is going to be brutal." But like, yeah, I met Arta there.
Is that where he was going to train?
Yeah, he was training at Gods of War as well. We were both just travelling up on the train from Newby. Like we weren't like getting together and going up and training, but yeah, that's like I met Arta 12 years ago at Gods of War. And even then, like his pressure and control and everything 12 years ago, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, these European guys, man, they're tough as nails.
Yeah, something in the water over there.
Yeah. So yeah, I became like good friends with Mark and Carl and Aaron and Chris and the coaches and Kev, one of my main sparring partners. And a lot of them were competing at the time, and I was like, I want to be part of the team.
Competing in MMA.
Yeah, I want to wear like the competition hoodies that you guys wear. I don't want to just train. Like I want to be part of the team. And they were like, oh, okay. So I think James and Carl and Mark Wade and all that and Chris, like I had to go to do a couple of interclubs. So I went and did a couple of interclubs, like Thai interclubs. And the actual interclubs are the ones where there's like no winner, no loser sort of thing. So they just wanted to make sure that like, you know, I was serious about it. They're doing their due diligence really, like because
checking they're not going to chuck you in and get absolutely battered, basically.
Yeah, which is the right way to do it, because so many kids, especially nowadays, seeing it from coaching the MMA class, like, they're just like, I want to come in and compete. And it's like, that is great, but can you do a camp? Like, can you? Yeah. So they made me do a couple of them. And then they put me in for like another in-house fight, but at Gods of War. So I had my first MMA fight there. Can't remember what year it was. It must have been about a year or two afterwards, because I'd done interclubs on and off for a couple of years while I first started training there.
2015?
Yeah. I'd say 2015, 2016-ish. Had my first MMA fight, in-club fight there. Won that against probably the toughest guy I fought, to be fair, but won that in the second round, like stoppage. And after that, I remember like James Matthews and Bucksy and Carl, my main training partner and stuff, being like, yeah, no more interclubs for you. Like, no one's finished someone like that on one of our in-house gym club fights. Like, you can't do this anymore. You've got to fight on an actual show. And obviously, luckily, MMA was quite like growing at that point. So there was loads of local shows. I had one fight booked, and then my old man passed away. So like that never went through. So then I kept training. And a few months after that, they were like, oh, there's this show called Rage. Do you want to fight on this? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I did like a full proper camp for that, and that was the first and last proper weight cut I did. Started at 102 kilograms and cut down to 84 kilograms.
Jesus.
And I would genuinely never recommend that.
Yeah.
Because I had no stomach issues before I did that sort of stuff. That was the hardest thing, fighting, because that was the thing about Gods of War that I super respected. They were like, if you're doing an interclub or an in-house fight or like on a show, like they were like, even though it's amateur or semi-amateur, like they made you do a fight camp. They would go through like your nutrition. These are just the guys doing it off of their own backs because Phil's away at the moment.
But that's everything that comes with it. If you just do a load of interclubs but don't take everything else seriously, then you do a proper show fight and everyone's like, oh, you need to weight cut now, you need to do this, that. It's a big shock. And if they train you like that early, then it's nothing's a shock, is it? No.
I think that's probably what, again, because Phil had moved to America at this point, I've interacted with Phil more since I've not trained there and seen him more since I've not trained there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have much interaction with Phil because Phil fought a lot in MMA locally and on the regional circuit and stuff. And that must have been, you know, like James and Carl and Chris and Mark and Aaron and stuff were doing this, so he must have implemented that onto those guys.
Exactly,
like, doesn't matter how low level, you've got to keep it professional, and that was the main thing. Like, it gave me a lot of discipline, a lot of structure, and I loved it. But I wouldn't recommend cutting down from 102 kilograms to 84. My main sparring partner, my two main sparring partners, one was Kev Buxley. Chris Buxley's like one of the coaches' brothers, who was solid as nails, and then Carl Grady, and he would beat the shit out of me for about the first 2-3 years, until I started learning some. He still beat me up, but it was a bit more
Yeah.
even keel after
Yeah.
about 2 or 3 years. But Kyle Grady, we're both sort of in the same situation. He's had a couple of surgeries recently. He would cut down from it. He was lighter than me, but he would walk around, I think, about 95, and I would walk around about 100. He would cut down to 77 to compete. So I was like, yeah, I'm never going as low as that. So yeah, I had my fight, my first like semi-professional or my first amateur fight under Gods of War after my interclub fight, and I won that in the first round, and that was on a proper show. And that was super cool and exciting, and yeah, that was really fun going through the whole process, like knowing that I wanted to do this professional fighter thing, and they'd made me do it professionally, and I could do it.
Yeah.
But even after that fight, I was like, yeah, I'm going to fight, and I'm probably not going to fight 84 kilograms. So
Yeah.
like screw that.
That's a fucking big weight cut.
Yeah. So after that, after my fourth fight, it like became apparent that Phil was going to be in America for longer than they planned, so Gods of War like sadly like closed down, but I stuck around and trained with them because over 4 years, like Mark, Chris, Kyle, James and Aaron and Mark Linders as well, like those boys like proper, like it was the first time I'd felt like a proper part of like a group of people and a community and stuff. Like it was quite like a sad, it wasn't just like a place I went to train. They taught me a lot about myself and helped me progress, and taught me a lot about diet and nutrition and strength and training, not just like combat sports. Like they were all such nice guys. They'd all just try and pass on the same knowledge and experience that they'd gathered like over their training experience and pass it down onto you. Because like I say, all those guys competed on the amateur circuit or semi-pro circuit, so I looked up to all of them. And it was quite like gutting. So yeah, that gym closed down, and I'd started my job, and I wasn't an apprentice anymore, and I'd started working 24-hour shifts at this point. So once or twice a week I do 24-hour shifts. So it was getting real hard, but I was like, no, I'm going to stick with it. So I followed James Matthews, the head coach. He opened up what is now his Muay Thai gym, the start of that. So I followed him with his cousin, Mark. It was James Matthews and Mark Bennett. So I followed them for about a year and a half, and some of them MMA guys who preferred kickboxing and Muay Thai went over with them, so I still had some good training and good sparring partners and stuff. And it had been about a year I'd been in like on and off camp because we've been trying to book me a fight. I think one fight like I got injured, but it was only a small injury, so like 6 weeks later we were looking to book me another fight, and I was back in camp. Then my opponent pulled out like 3 months later for a fight, so now I'm like 6 months in, not seeing my friends, going to work, doing 24-hour shifts, and then finally we got me my fifth fight booked for the Rivermead Centre. I can't remember what the promotion was called, but I was like, finally, like I'm going to be locked in because I've been in and out of camp for half a year. And then I did a 3-month camp for that. And then, like, I think the week before the fight, the whole venue was like, or the promoter was like, oh, the whole show's not going ahead. So I was like, you fucking what? So I'd had like 3 fights up and down, like trying to train for about 9-10 months at this point. And James, being the coach, sound coach he was, and he knew how motivated I was, I presume, because I'd stayed in camp on and off for so long. He was like, look, we'll book you another fight. And I think I've been doing my 24-hour shifts for about a year at this point. And I remember going in like after the 10th month and him being like, no, we're still looking. And I was like, I was about 26, 27 at this point, I think now, roughly. And I was like, look, I can't, like with my new job and these hours, like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And he was like, he wasn't by any stretch of a dickhead, but he was like, no, we can still, he wasn't like pushy, but he was like, no, you've put all this time and effort in, we can get your fight. And I was like, look, I haven't been out with my friends in like a year at this point. They were literally like, we haven't seen you in a year. So I had to like take a step back and unfortunately think, am I going to be a pro fighter? No.
Starting to get to that age where you're like,
no, I'm not going to be a pro fighter. I've had some exposure. The main thing at Gods of War is that I was part of and sparring partner of like lots of people's camps. So I'd had a lot of exposure through the process, learn about the diet and nutrition, the strength and conditioning, and how to structure a fight camp and stuff through those guys, just helping those guys out. And I was like, look, I don't think I'm going to be a big time fighter or anything, especially with this new job. Like, I'm just going to have to call it, James. And he was supportive but gutted because he'd put time into me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd put time in as well, and obviously he'd been trying to book me a fight, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. So I stayed training with him still for about a year, and I was still helping. I remember there's his name's Charlie, and he's taller than me and doesn't look like it, but the hardest sparring partner I've ever had because he was rangier than me. I think he had a fight coming up, and Kev Buxy had a fight coming up, or like in a club, so like I'd help those guys out, be their not main sparring partners, but be part of their sparring team and stuff like that. And it just got to the point after about a year of that where I was like, I love James and I love the boys and the team and everything, and I was like, look, I'm not going to fight now. I know I'm not going to fight and compete because I just can't commit to it. I can't go. What I used to do before I did 24-hour shifts was go run at 5 a.m, go do 8-hour manual job, and then go train for 3 hours. And when you do that 5-6 times a week, when you're running in the morning and doing 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours of training a night, when you go into an MMA fight, you're like, no shadow of a doubt, you're like, I've done fucking everything I can. So there's like, that's why I was always locked in and people couldn't get me worked up before a fight because I was like, I've done what I've done.
You can't do anymore.
The result is what the result is, sort of thing. But yeah, when life gets in the way and you get a mortgage and you got to do long hours and stuff, I'm like, I can't commit as much time, which was like a real. I was umming and ahhing with it for about a year. But anyway, after that, I was like, I'm not like leaving the gym, James, but I'm not going to be training as much because I have to drive to Reading now. I have a work van. I drive to Reading, drive home from Reading, drive back to Reading. And I've been doing that for about 5 years at this point. Yeah. And I was like, look, I think I'm going to start transitioning to more just grappling. And he was like, okay, cool. Like, hopefully we cross paths and stuff. And that's when I was 26, 27. I joined Kev's gym, finally onto the jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I had a lot of influences through Phil, Mark, and the MMA guys about jiu-jitsu, but it had all mainly been striking. I remember when my training partners at Gods of War had been like, Aaron, his nickname was Squirrel, small flyweight fighter, really nice guy. He was like, I'm excited for you. I've heard you've got a fight booked like coming up, like before I did that MMA fight. And I was like, yeah. He was like kickboxing, yeah? I was like, MMA. And he was like, no. He was like, you've got no grappling, Harry. Yeah. You've got no grappling. But I like wanted to do it. So about 27, 28, I then finally was like, I love martial arts. I love the structure. I love the community. I've gained some knowledge like on how to run a camp and compete and stuff. Because one of the main things going all the way back to the beginning was when I said to Liam Hamilton, I was like, I want to fight and get some exposure so I can be a coach. Yeah. Like that was always my main aim. Like I genuinely, like from day one, I was like, I want to own my own gym. Yeah. I'm going to go fight in the UFC, get a big name for myself. And then everyone will come flocking to Berkshire for Tillett's MMA. Yeah. But that was genuinely from day one. I was like, I want to fight, get enough respect or exposure under my name so that when people come to my gym or my classes or whatever, they'll be like, oh, I respect that Harry's been there, done it. The
same way that you're shouting the names out of people that you trained with.
Yeah. But that is because genuinely, like, even some of them I haven't spoken to for a couple of years or even longer, but every coach and training partner that I've mentioned, and there's probably loads that I haven't because I haven't even gone through the whole story yet. Everyone's taught me something, and that's the main thing about martial arts in the encompassing picture of MMA, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing or whatever. When you find a gym with the right people, like it's just, there's nothing else quite like it really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, about 27, 28, I was like, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu because I'd met Kev before at Basingstoke Martial Arts. I'd been there a couple of times to come do some grappling for my MMA fights and being like, why are we putting on these gis? Yeah. And I obviously trained at Gods of War and that had closed down, so Arthur was going there as well to Kev's. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll start doing this gi stuff. And then that like opened my eyes. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I'm really bad at this. I can't use the same like natural ability I had to like striking because I think I mentioned it previously, like a bit earlier on, but like striking, I wasn't like a phenom at it or anything, but like people would get me to drill stuff in like Liam Hamilton's classes or James Matthews' classes, and I'd look like a klutz. And then as soon as it came to sparring and actually using it, it was the opposite of what I am now with like jiu-jitsu. I was way better at sparring than like trying to drill certain techniques.
Yeah.
And then jiu-jitsu was the complete opposite. I like went in, and Kev's obviously a super nice guy. He was like, oh, amazing, we've got this super tough like MMA guy coming in who wants to do jiu-jitsu. Like, yeah, welcomed me, got me with Arta warming up. And the first class, I tore my AC ligament in my shoulder, falling from a height of about 2 inches during a warm-up drill.
There's a bit of a reoccurring thing with injuries then. since
day one of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I injured myself day one and then came back after my AC joint in my shoulder healed. And then, I started like telling Kev, obviously he knew about my MMA experience and Muay Thai experience. And I was like, yeah, I want to compete in jiu-jitsu. And that's when I started finding like a love for...
There's a thing here, isn't there? You start it and you're like, I'm going to be...
I never thought I was going to be anything in jiu-jitsu, in all honesty, because jiu-jitsu is the thing. Obviously, I was older at this point, working a job, mortgage, life. Like, I'm a bit less delusional.
This was your hobby, not your...
Yeah. I was like, I can do this 3 or 4 times a week. Do my 24-hour shifts and compete. And I was like, this is perfect. I love competition. I know a lot of people don't. I know it's like, not to call you out, but I know like why you don't necessarily like enjoy it as much. The reasons why you don't enjoy it is for some weird reason in my head is why I love it.
Why you love it,
I don't get it. Like in my MMA fights and stuff, I've been more nervous on the jiu-jitsu comp mats than I have for a fight where I'm getting punched and kneed and kicked in the head.
Is that because you was more confident with your MMA though? With striking? As in...
Probably because... it's 8 years now I've been doing jiu-jitsu, but I've had about 2.5 years of injuries.
Yeah.
But I've never ever stepped onto a jiu-jitsu competition mat, apart from the absolute competition I did once, confident.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I've got to see what's going to happen. Like, because I know when I started jiu-jitsu, I was like, I'm going to train as hard as I can, which is obviously going to have to stop at some point because my body's falling apart now. I'm going to have to train as hard as I can. But I know I'm not like a 16-year-old who was training 10 hours a day. Like I know there's better guys. The thing about an MMA fight is the level I competed at, or K1, you know the guy, you don't really know him, but it's one dude. So you can game plan. When you go to a jiu-jitsu competition, you can fight 6 guys. Yeah, even at Mongol weight class, you might have 5-6 guys. Yeah. And I think that's way tougher. So but I told Kev I wanted to compete, so trained loads there at Kev's. Obviously realised that Bernie had a little club up here, just next,
so he was
literally
training
opposite.
there, but he was...
Yeah.
So they were also doing classes up here.
I started at Kev's, I think the similar time that like Tom and Bernie and that were like transitioning.
That's it,
because they're a bit older than I am, so they're having families and getting houses and life, etc. So they were like, I can't travel an hour and a half or an hour and 20 minutes each night and train 2 hours. They were looking for somewhere else to train. So Bernie had started training up here just opposite John's unit. So I started doing some of that as well on top of it. So I was sort of training at Newbury, what Newbury was, and at Kev's, and trained and competed under Kev for a few years. Well, about 3 or 4 years, and then obviously Bernie built the club in Newbury.
So you competed at white belt, blue belt?
Competed at white belt, competed at blue belt, got my purple belt, and then that's when all my body started falling apart, I think.
So wait, so turned up to Kev's after all of your MMA stuff, obviously put a gi on, put a white belt on.
Yeah.
So going through then, gained your blue belt under Kev?
Yeah, gained my blue belt, purple belt, and now my token, I call it a token brown belt under Kevin and Bernie and Jeff. They've all been under.
But as in, so you received your blue and purple from Kev training there.
Yes,
And then got your brown,
purple and brown from Bernie.
Right, okay.
Yeah, purple and brown from Bernie.
I think you got your purple just before I came back. It was around Christmas. You got your purple the same time as...
It would have been
John, wasn't it?
And Sam, yeah.
And that was around Christmas time.
Yeah, must have been.
About 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah. It was about 2.5, 3 years ago, definitely.
Yeah.
Which had been the greyest years of my training.
So white belt,
currently. White belt was I was training with Bernie, but it's like it was. I think I was making like 1 session a week up in the unit when there was like 5 or 6 of us. Yeah, and I was going to Kev's at Basingstoke, so still travelling, going to work in Reading, High Wycombe area, coming home, driving up to Kev's, and doing that 3 or 4, 5 times a week. And I ended up going there because Jack Brickley had come along to like Gods of War to do like an induction MMA class, and like we got on, like so like I like helped him out with a bit of MMA and striking, and he was like, "Oh, this stuff you know nothing about," and he like helped me out with some of the grappling.
Yeah. What belt would he have been at that point?
He would have been a white belt.
Really?
He would have been maybe a blue belt, but it would definitely white going on blue or just turned blue.
Yeah, and he was training under Kev.
Yeah, and he was training under Kev, and obviously Brickley's now black belt with his own club and own gym. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he sort of mentioned Kev, so I think that's why me and Art are going over. I don't remember exactly every detail, but yeah, Brickley, shout out to him, came over, did the introduction to MMA and was like, "Oh, I train at Kev's," so I think that's why I was made aware of it. Because I'd trained at Jeremy Bailey's gym and driven past Kev's unit at the industrial estate, but never knew it was there.
Yeah.
Like, never knew it was there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was good that how you cross paths with people when you train at different places, like, how they spread the word. Because, again, Kev's gym, Kev's awesome coach, awesome guy. I mean, I haven't been there for about 2-3 years now because of my back and knee issue, but, yeah, like Brickley, Phil, Jack Harris, Richard, Chris, you've got loads of good, real, pretty high competitive or knowledgeable guys to train there with. Like Phil doesn't compete, but like Jesus Christ, he could win any black belt local regional tournament sort of thing. So got like exposed to that. And then what I realised quite quickly, not to like keep repeating the same point, but I was like, oh, I am not good at this. I don't know if it's because of like,
I think jiu-jitsu is quite humbling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's proper humbling in the sense, like Richard Fernando from Basingstoke, small, real nice, super friendly guy. I must outweigh him even when I'm in shape by like 25, 30 kilograms, but he can absolutely destroy me.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And he's a super nice guy. So like, I think that's when I was like, yeah, I've chosen the right sport now like, to do. Like, I can keep this up consistently. Because it's super humbling and keeps you in check. You still get those hard training rolls in and stuff. Like,
you can give with jiu-jitsu, you can receive what you put in quite easily. Like, if you want a hard round, you'll have a hard round. If you want to chill out, you can chill out. Especially when you start coming up the ranks a little bit. Yeah,
100%. I think that's something you learn. Well, I learned sort of after blue belt though, because I think probably in jiu-jitsu, I guess other people might be able to attest to this better than I can, like retrospectively looking back on myself. But I think, especially white belt, I started trying to do as many competitions as I was doing, and I was like, why am I getting third? Why am I not I'm an MMA guy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then after blue belt, white belt, because I just used to, I think probably through blue belt, I was like, if I just train hard and try and go through someone. Like, I had quite good conditioning, I presume, from my MMA and Muay Thai experience. I was like, I can break most people similar size to me. So I think that was like my mindset through to blue belt. So because I find it probably academically as well, similar with jiu-jitsu, like retaining information is like super hard for me.
Yeah, I'm the same,
Like someone can explain a technique and I'm like, what are we doing?
I have to go through it a couple of times and learn the steps. Like I always break everything down a little bit, like 1, 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
steps or
Come up with like
checkpoints or
a rhythm or some
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
not
yeah.
code but something
Yeah.
to say to yourself, because I remember
I'm not like autistic John that can literally watch a video and then go, oh, I'm going to try that later and then just do it.
no. Well, something I have learned recently is that like I couldn't watch a John Danaher instructional. Like no
Why? 'Cause-
no disrespect
'cause
to
you'd fall asleep?
Big John, but there's too much information.
Yeah.
If I see like nowadays what like a reel or a short or
That's
something,
what I watch those like shorts.
I'm
and,
like I can like if it's just one thing, I can like retain that and try it.
yeah.
But yeah, I can't do those long instructionals. I'm not gonna absolute legend of a person, but I'm not gonna say the name or anything. But there was a seminar once I went to, and I super looked up to this guy and still do. Like it's no disrespect to him, it's just how I learn. It was 3.5 hours on like one thing, and after like 30 minutes, I was like, like obviously I didn't say this, I stayed, but I was like, there's literally no point me being here
Yeah,
anymore.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I've had a few similar things happen like that on seminars and stuff where
This
Like-
guy was super high level though,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
for him and people his level, I'm sure it was gold. But I was like, I could have
yeah,
30 minutes, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
are we
yeah.
doing now? But
yeah. No, I know exactly
Yeah.
what you mean. So, white belt you competed, blue belt you competed.
Yeah.
Did you do quite well?
blue belt was when it started coming together a
Yeah.
bit more. I think in like white belt,
Apologies about the rain noise. You might pick it up.
good
It's
microphones.
probably going to pick it up.
Dax is going to be gutted when we have to go outside.
Yeah.
I love autumn when I'm not at work outside.
It's supposed to be summer.
Wow. Is it not set? No, it's not just
No.
yet, is it? No. Yeah, so competed at white belt. Again, a big thing, shout out to the general jiu-jitsu community. Most of the guys I competed with at blue belt, at white belt, that beat me,
Keep going, sorry, I'm just going to check the time.
that's all right. I would like, you good? We would like chat to afterwards, and like I'm like friends with them now and stuff like that on social media, and
Still
I know what they're still doing and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
so like I can compete with these people in a jiu-jitsu tournament. They beat me, or I might beat them, and then we'd end up like semi-friends and like
Yeah,
see each
yeah,
other in the
yeah.
local.
It
regional
always
tournament.
happens though, like, yeah, all these tournaments now, like when I go to comps, and not like to compete, but when I go and watch comps or like just support people or whatever, you always see the same faces.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
still quite a small world, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I quite like that about it though, because it's definitely the jiu-jitsu crowd. It's got a lot more popular and a bit more rowdy recently in competitions I've been to, but it's a lot more respectable than going to like an MMA.
Yeah,
club.
oh yeah, 100%.
Because one night, just to go back, like I had to like corner like 10 fights for like a charity event,
Yeah,
for like a
White
cancer
collar.
awareness white collar
yeah,
event.
I used to do
And,
those.
and that's when I was like, yeah, no, I'm done with this crowd, because it's a charity event and you've got people in tuxes like fighting each other in the crowd and
Yeah,
stuff. And I was
I-
like, I'm sick of these.
I remember my dad used to do some coaching for those things, and I used to help by just, like, cornering, not like whatever you call it, like running or
Yeah.
just helping. And I remember being sat there, and this guy like stood up, and he's like, "Fuck him up, kill him."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
this is his fucking first fight. Like, this is a
Yeah.
charity thing.
And his mum or daughter
Yeah.
or wife or partner or someone's over there.
Luckily, a guy that we were with, like, literally stood up, turned around, and was like, "That's the wrong fucking attitude."
Yeah, oh, sweet.
And the guy shut up. But yes, I was the same. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, so when I did it, I was actually cornering the fighters, so like I couldn't like get involved.
Yeah.
Like I was like, but yeah, the crowds are just different. So
Yeah.
yeah, competed, had a little bit of a couple of wins, some silvers, some bronzes, some like participation medals. I'm sure I've got from white belt, and then blue belt. Like it started coming together a bit more. I wasn't just trying to run through people at training and spar as hard as I did like when I was doing MMA and stuff.
Yeah.
I started like sort of understanding at a much slower pace than probably most people, like how jiu-jitsu is about, like you said, slowing stuff down, breaking it down to a understanding of your like thought process and body mechanics and stuff, and how to use that to get leverage or whatever on the other person. I still would get caught up in rolls, training with like Jack Harris, like Jack, love rolling with that guy. Hope he's doing well. Like I still get caught up in rolls like that when people are smashing me, and I'd be like, no, I'm strong, I'm conditioned, I'm young, I can get through this sort of thing. But yeah, I started to open my eyes a bit more. And yeah, so I had a few wins, like silvers and golds at Blue, just in local competitions. I wasn't doing super fights or anything like that, like these guys like Cam and Archie and the Baker
I don't think
boys
there
and
was
stuff
that.
are.
It's quite big recently, super fights, hasn't it?
The super fights when I was competing at blue belt were for brown and black belts.
Yeah, like
and
Polaris.
brown belt. If you were like a top level brown belt, like you couldn't like fair play, because what these boys get to do now, I think is
people are really helping the scene, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a bit more professional, gives them a bit more exposure and understanding again of like how I wanted to be exposed to how a fight camp and a fight is run for if I do coach or anything. And then I think John wanted me to bring it up, and he's not even here, but he was like, oh, can you mention the absolute belt that you've won? So I won an absolute belt at a blue belt competition, All Stars in London, which I'm just like, yeah, it's cool to have the belt, but like all of my belts and medals and stuff are like in the back of my cupboard, like I'm
not John showing them off.
I'm not having a go at John, but yeah, like they're cool, and I think one day when I can't train, like I'll do something cool with a gi and some photos and maybe a belt or something. Like
I was the same, like when I started getting belts and I've got a couple of medals and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna have them hung up here. It's like I don't even know where my blue belt is now. Like
I think I've got my actual jiu-jitsu belt. I think they're in the same back of the same cupboard. I think it's all my medals, my absolute belt, and my jiu-jitsu belts. Yeah, they're all sort of like together. I don't like keep them on display or anything. But yeah, I won that absolute tournament, and I think because the reason I won that is because it was the first time on the jiu-jitsu mats that I was like, I've got nothing to lose, and I was confident. You know how I talked about whenever I stepped on the mats. In competition, I don't know why, I was way more nervous than I ever was in MMA. But this competition, I think I had one guy. I think I did gi, or I did no gi. Sorry, I did no gi and had like 2 or 3 fights. And then I had a gi competition, a gi match, but because of my weight class and category, it was only me and one other guy, and they were like, this guy's pulled out, so you haven't got a fight. And I was like, I was enjoying both no-gi. I love no-gi if I had to make a decision, but I was starting to understand the gi a lot more, because it is a similar but different sport, like totally different game. And I was like quite annoyed. I was like, look, you made me wait around for 3 hours. I could have gone home. I was like, is he fighting in the absolute? And they were like, yeah, but obviously he's not going to be because he's not here. And I was like, well, I didn't pay for the absolute, so put me in the absolute. And they were like, nah, because you have to pay, like, well, they're a business, you know, they've got to make money and stuff. And I was like, look, you're not losing out. The guy competing who would fight against him isn't losing out. And I'm not losing out. And after like going back and forth for like 10, 15 minutes, they're like, fine, you can jump in the absolute. And I was like, I would never have signed up for a gi absolute. Like in my life.
Sometimes that's the best way though, when you just like jump in with sort of no notice. Like,
that. Because no one there, because a lot of the Basingstoke team and some of the guys who train out of Newbury now, we'd all go down to these like competitions together, and I think that was part of the issue of putting the pressure on myself. I mean, that would happen at MMA as well, but yeah, I never, and K1 Muay Thai, like, but I never experienced that in the same way. Like, I think because I knew I was technically picking up things a lot slower than jiu-jitsu. For example, John's brother Sam, I remember when I had one of my fights, he saw me out on a night out after celebrating, and because I used to work with John's brother Sam in a pub called the Queen's, and he was like, oh my God, look at your face, you're bruised and battered. And I was like, yeah, I won my fight, and explained it to him, and he was infatuated with me. And then Sam, I've been doing martial arts for all these years, and then Sam takes up jiu-jitsu 7 years ago, and he's 10 times better than I am at jiu-jitsu now. It just depends on the way you learn.
That's it,
But yeah, so I joined the Absolute. I was like, I don't care what happens. I've got no right being here, because I mainly trained no-gi, but was starting to enjoy the gi. I was always going in with the expectation of I'm going to medal in no-gi, I'm going to medal in no-gi. And then, just beat 3 guys in similar, like I think the guys I competed were between 80 and like 100 kilograms, so sort of similar weight to me, which I think was good.
What belts?
Blue belts.
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah.
Yeah, we're blue. So it's a blue belt absolute.
Blue belt absolute. Yeah.
But there was again during the day, I was like, I'm glad I'm not in this guy's division, because there was he was a weight category above me, Eastern European guy, real nice chap, and he was just judo throwing and smashing everyone. Like he was like doing it effortlessly, and in between each match he was going out and smoking in the doorway, and I was like, that guy's a G, and I had to fight him in the final. And I just remember being like, for some reason, I think I was scared of him during the day if I had to compete against him. But I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I've got this guy's number. I'm going to let him take me down, and I'm going to armbar him. And it's the first time I've like thought of a play for play in a jiu-jitsu competition, and that's just how it happened. That's literally how it happened. Yeah. And at the end of it, he was like, we should split this, because I want a check and everything, like in the belt and stuff. He was like, yo, you should split the check with me. And my wife at the time, Sarah, was like, piss off, and ran away with the check. But he was a super nice guy. And then after that, just before I got my purple belt, I went to compete. I was like, I know I'm not going to be that great at jiu-jitsu, but again, I've always wanted to coach. I've basically always wanted to coach and be a good training partner, and obviously you guys would know that better than me, but I always want people to be able to train with me and pass and help knowledge onto them, or coach and do that. So I was like, I'm going to go to ADCC in Manchester, and obviously I know, like, I saw Chris and stuff up there from Zion and Tarek and stuff, so that was super cool, because I'd just gone up with Sarah. Sarah would always come to me with all these competitions. She's been super supportive. She'd do like her teacher planning, like just sat in a sports hall and watch me compete and stuff. So she came up to Manchester with me, and again I had that pressure on myself. I was like, I know I'm better now. I didn't
still blue belt.
Didn't know I was getting my purple belt, but I was like, I've been a blue belt for about 2.5 years now. Like by the jiu-jitsu standard, I should be a purple belt. So I entered the correct division and stuff. And again, first round ADCC Manchester, I went up against a hench, roided up. He even told me like what gear he was on, Eastern European guy, and we were like two bulls in the china shop sort of. It was less like jiu-jitsu, more just like wrestling, trying to go my old school mindset of go through the person, and he was trying to do the same. And I think he beat me by a point, so I was like, oh, we had a good match. It was quite close. Like I wasn't super down on myself. And then I got, because of the way the bracket worked, I got a second match for a bronze medal position. And this would teach you a story about not judging a book by its cover. I looked at the guy and I was like, I fucking got this. Like I was like, I've got a bronze medal at ADCC Manchester. I was like, this is sick. And just because he, I was like, I had like abs almost at this point. Like I was in shape and I was conditioned, because I was like ADCC. Not ADCC trials like professionally, but I was like, I'm training hard for this. Yeah. And he was like a bit out of shape, and I remember being in there being like, I fucking got this. Can't believe I'm going to get don't count your chickens before they hatch. I was like, I've got a bronze medal. So I went in there, he pulled guard. I was like, amazing. Like I don't even have to get tired like wrestling him, and then he just footlocked me like within about 30 seconds.
You're like,
yeah. And then I think one of my favourite photos ever is of me and that chat with the ref, like at ADCC, with him having his hand raised because of how like disappointed I looked, and it's just a reminder to myself of not like, oh, it's cool that I'm that disappointed. It's like, yeah, that guy was legit, and like in jiu-jitsu, definitely you shouldn't ever like you, the most unassuming person, like can be an absolute like killer.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think that was the last time I competed until I started having all my back issues.
So you got your purple belt after that.
Yeah.
Then at this point you're just pretty much training at Newbury. Then like you're not really going over to Kev's.
Yeah. So after I got my purple belt, I started like suffering from like quite severe back issues. I had a couple of herniated discs. They've been bothering me for about a decade.
This was work related though, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was more work related from what I do, being bent over in a hole in awkward stress positions and doing 24-hour shifts and doing that stuff. Like, I'm
obviously
sure
training probably didn't help.
I don't think, training I don't think is to blame, but training didn't help. You're right. Yeah, that's the right thing to say. So after I got my purple belt, I was like, can't wait to compete at purple belt. But then like I started doing jiu-jitsu classes, trying to train hard still, less hammer and nail sort of training, but still wanting to train hard with people like my size. And it just got to the point where like I was, for about 2 years, I was in 24/7 pain. Some days it was like a 1, some days it was a 9. And then eventually I couldn't like really stand up after a jiu-jitsu.
Hola, guacamole. Yes, so you started getting the back pain.
Yeah, couldn't really stand up straight. So then I sort of had to take a step back from training so I could still manage the pain and do my job.
The problem is you got work. You start with responsibilities, it's a mortgage and shit.
That was the main issue, which hasn't really panned out this year. But that was the main issue is, unfortunately, I didn't want to have, like, I wanted to be a coach, I wanted to be a competitor, I wanted to have my own gym, but, you know, life is life. Like, I was like, I've got to, I mean, mainly, I'm probably stubborn enough that if I wasn't in so much pain and it was just uncomfortable, I would have just kept on doing it. But yeah, I was like, I need to pay my mortgage. So for about 2 years at Purple Belt, I like went and visited Japan again and trained with Imanari and Yuki and stuff and all the big wigs over there that like I'd trained with before my back issues. But like I wasn't able to like roll, like really. And I haven't been able to roll properly for about 2.5 years now, probably. But I could turn up, I could help coach a bit, and I could train.
You was obviously coaching MMA at this point.
Yeah, so always been part of my dream, or like the main reason I got into it. So massive shout out to Bernie for creating like the club and the space, and he came to me about I think it's about 3 or 4 years ago now. And
I remember Sam was teaching the MMA at one point, wasn't he?
Chisel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was covering for me when I was on my 24-hour shifts and stuff like that. Yeah. So Sam would be like my go-to. He would be, he would help out a lot. He would coach, and if I wasn't in, he would cover the class and stuff because of his kickboxing background and stuff. So luckily, because of the club Bernie created, 3 or 4 years ago, he came to me and was like, or maybe I went to him and I was like, I got into martial arts to like coach. So he gave me an opportunity to teach a class, and that was like a completely different ball game for me, because really what it turned out to be for the first year was some of the jiu-jitsu guys would come along.
And it was called shoot boxing, wasn't it?
I was like, I don't want the local guy coming along thinking he can come train MMA. I was like, I'm not about that life anymore. Like I love MMA and I love Muay Thai and I love boxing and striking and stuff, but I'm not about like that life.
MMA does attract sometimes. It attracts
been super lucky, but
funny crowd.
Main reason Phil Jackson, the first guy, gave me confidence to like continue training and that I had some ability. He was like the reason why I teach out of my house, like, you know, invite people over if they want to come train at my house. He was like, I've been involved in that gym, boxing and MMA/Vale Tudo for years. He was like, I just can't stand a lot of the personalities that are into that sport. And it's a real fine line because I think some of those personalities can come around and
I've seen people change.
Yeah, like just grow. Yeah. But it is hard because I'm coaching, but it's my hobby.
Yeah. So the reason with it is MMA, and it's kind of weird because this was you. Yeah, 100%. The young, testosterone-fueled bloke that just wants to be a UFC fighter.
Yeah, so I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
But so super thankful to that, to Bernie letting me have the opportunity. I can't remember if it was me who came up to him or he said, look, do you want to do this? Either way, like I don't think I would have been comfortable doing it anywhere, because the first year was basically, and after this year, Bernie had to have a bit of a chat with me. It was like, I was like, sweet, I can train MMA again once or twice a week. So I'd just get people in, they'd come in from, mainly it was guys would come in from the jiu-jitsu class, like Ed and that, who'd done a lot of Muay Thai, and like Billy, who'd done some boxing and stuff in his past. People like that would come just for a bit of a workout, and I'd be like, sweet, I can like, for a year, I like come in, wing it, like what old techniques do I enjoy? I'll teach these and then we'll do some sparring. And it was great fun. That's just the other camera.
Has it gone off?
Yeah.
That's fine.
And then Bernie was like, look, are you doing this to train or to coach? Like, he like recentered my perspective on it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I've been using like the opportunity you gave me to like get some bit of striking in and some rounds in, so I can feel like I'm still involved in the sport, basically. So I think that went on for about a year and a half, and we like rebranded it as shoot boxing or whatever in that time, because I didn't want to like get in the crowd that I thought might come with the attachment of MMA.
Yeah.
But then when he was like, oh, do you want to do it to coach? Do you want to do it to train? Like, you've got to think about it. And I'm glad he had that conversation with me, because then after about a year and a half, I was like, all right, no, I do. I wanted to coach. I do want to coach. I think it's just because of I kind of have, especially to begin with, I can't remember it's not the word is, but you know, when you're doing something and you shouldn't be doing
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah. Like, I had super imposter syndrome, because every person who I didn't know who would come into my MMA class,
you'd be like, oh, who is this guy?
I'd be like, who are you? Where have you trained? Oh, if you've trained there, you are not going to get, like, I would always be like, you're not going to get that level of training here. I'd be like, I'd proper blurt out everything. Like, I was like, I've done this many years and I've had 4 semi-amateur fights and stuff, but like, I haven't competed for these many years. And I'm I'm just trying my best, sort of thing. Yeah. I had proper imposter syndrome for about the first 2 years. But because Bernie had that chat with me about, is it more just so you can get some rounds in, or do you want to coach? Over the past sort of year and a half, I would say, and hopefully James, shout out to James, who takes the classes now when I'm working and stuff like that.
Or blowing your knee out.
Or blowing my knee out, or my back, or whatever it is, yeah. Like, I actually come up with, like, I'm not a strict curriculum, not like you're at school or anything, but I like plan out and write out my classes, and I'm like, I want to do this for 6 to 8 weeks, and I communicate that with James, and we go over it in a way more structured way now. We have had a couple of guys, excuse me, compete and stuff. And that's been when I've like, don't feel imposter syndrome. I'm like, okay, you want to compete? Okay, this is how we do a fight camp. This is how you manage your weight. Like, I'm like, that to me is like second nature still, from like back in the Gods of War days. I know how to structure all of that, but yeah, like.
And that's funny, because you said those Gods of War guys would like that because of their coach. Yeah. And then now you're like that because of those guys.
Yeah. It's like the circle of coaching and training, I guess. But it just instills, like you say, like, now I know if one of the, because now it's all a lot of young lads, it's not the jiu-jitsu guys, it's a lot of young lads. So my class is very different.
Crossover now.
No.
Which is interesting, because they've got massive opportunity to do your classes and then literally jump straight into a jiu-jitsu class.
I tell them they should, but I'm not mega pushy. Because like you said, and I sort of only just realised that, I guess, since you said it, like, that was literally me. I was like, at Gods of War, I was like, I'm not putting on a gi, but I'll learn like I'll learn like guillotine defense, like how to hand fight.
Had you have just gone, all right, I'll do it. Then you'd be like,
I tell them, but I'm not super pushy, and I think as a coach, in inverted commas, that's what they'll. I guess if you asked any of them, they're like, he's structured, but he's not like super pushy. But as soon as one of the lads says they want to compete, like both the wheels have, and I've done like a fight camp for like John's brother Sam way back in the day and stuff, like when he did the charity MMA event and stuff. As soon as someone wants to fight, it's not like I change my personality or anything. I'm like, right, this. I explained to him, I was like, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to run. These are the things you're going to have to do. And that is when there's like, literally, there's no like grey lines for bullshit or like half-arsing it, or I don't turn into a drill sergeant, but I explain to them.
I've heard you with people though, and you're just like straight up.
Yeah.
Like, I think it might have been, maybe I won't mention his name, but one of the young lads the other day and was saying, and you were like, something about jiu-jitsu or something about ground game or whatever, and he was like, oh yeah, I know, but you were like, yeah, well, you either want to compete or you don't.
Yeah There is a bit about me that in my older, more mature age, especially in this past year when it's all 15, 16, 17-year-old lads now. Like, if someone competes in jiu-jitsu or MMA or whatever, like, I get a bit more serious. When we're training, I know a lot of the lads are just there because they've got some energy. Yeah. They want to burn. They want to feel a bit more confident about themselves. They want a bit more structure, whatever it is. Yeah, come along. And if you need to, like, one of the lads, real good lad, zero experience doing anything, and he's been turning up, like, he'll get tired in some rounds and he'll sit out and rest. And now he's been turning up. I'm not like shouting at him to get up, but I'm like, no, you can finish the rest of this. Like, come on, get up. But if you're gonna fight, there's like a minimum non-negotiable, and I've had it with one of the lads, especially when he did his first gas tank and training camp and stuff. He would get tired and stop, and fair play to him. Like, you do need a coach in those times, because if you're going to compete in MMA, it's a bit different to jiu-jitsu. You need those gas tanks and things that I do that were drilled into me at Gods of War, because MMA is way, like jiu-jitsu, there's a bit of chaos, but you know, if you don't get thrown, there's not as much chaos. There's some scrambles and stuff, but like,
there's always a rest point.
Yeah, MMA is literal, especially when you're fighting amateur or as young as these boys. Every second of every round is like pure chaos of these young lads throwing hands, knees, feet, slams, like whatever. Like, so you have to do this stuff. So I feel like over the past sort of 2 years since Bernie had that chat with me, we've said, fine, it's MMA, it's not shoot boxing anymore. Let them come and we'll adapt it to that. And along with James's help as well, James is purple belt, blue belt. Should be probably close to his purple belt now. He does the jiu-jitsu. He's done a lot of Muay Thai and boxing in his time, and was a really good sparring partner when I come over to Nubia and we do some rounds and stuff. Like, fair play to him for helping me out. He's helped me really structure the class because of like the turnaround Bernie got me to do. And now it is like advertised as MMA, and now it is full of young lads, which I think I didn't like the idea of, but now I have way less imposter syndrome because got my token brown belt because I've been injured in jiu-jitsu. And like talking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I have got quite a few years of experience. I may not have done big things like competing or anything, but shout out to Bernie for creating such an awesome club and giving me the opportunity, because coaching is the main thing I've always wanted to do.
Yeah. So we better. I'm not even on the camera, sorry. But we better sort of rack it up because we're like an hour and a half in, I think.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But,
cheers, John.
Yeah, so... But basically, I think we've covered a lot of it. But, so Purple, you've had a lot of injuries. You had your back injury. You've now... You got your brown belt because you were sort of training on and off. On and off for 2 years, basically, and didn't get to compete at Purple, And then now you've done your knee in... That was in an MMA class, and that was just in demonstrating something. Yeah. What did you do? Just step back on it funny?
So I had my back up in February, which had been ongoing for years.
Yeah.
Did 4 months off from that, done the rehab.
You'd come back training, because I remember training with you.
Come back training. I'd done 2 or 3 weeks of, this is the best thing and greatest thing about jiu-jitsu and the club that Bernie's created. Just come back to training, had my first hard open mat session on a Thursday, and one of the nicest things, or like the most meaningful things anyone said to me, not going to get soppy or anything, but I trained hard with like Frank and John and got good rolls in, and like I was buzzing. I was like, not that I'm like back, I'm going to compete. I was like, my life is this now in this room. Yeah. And Paolo came up to me and said, like, when I was like resting, because I was gassed out, he was like, Harry, that's the, like, just out of the blue, like, super nice guy, Paolo, super tough roller, super good guy as well. He just came up to me and was like, Harry, that's the like hardest I've seen you train and the happiest I've seen you in like 2 years. Not that I'm moping around or anything, but like I hadn't been able to train like that because of my back. So got that. That was super cool of Paolo to say that. Got me super motivated. And like I injured my knee at the beginning of the year at work and just ignored it because I knew I had my back operation coming up and I presumed my knee would heal. Because I was like, I'm going to have 4 months off from my back. So whatever I've done for my knee, because at this point it wasn't that bad. It just swelled up for like a day or two. I was like, it'll get the rest it needs. And then, I just showing one of the young lads how to check a kick, checked a kick and my knee exploded literally 3 weeks after I'd come back from training after spine surgery. And it was so bad. I didn't think it was that bad. I'd just gone on holiday with Sarah, my wife, and my friends. I'd gone on like a 10K hike and stuff. And then I'd come back the day of coming back from holiday. I had a follow up with a consultant. And he was like, you shouldn't have been walking around. You shouldn't be doing anything. We need you in 2 days' time, 3 days' time for surgery. So, it's been a perspective-wise for jiu-jitsu and training, it's been a terrible 3 years. Life-wise, like, it is what it is, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu, and mainly because of the club that Bernie's created, if I'm honest, I don't think I probably would have kept up with it to this point if I didn't have a place like Newbie Jiu-Jitsu, like you guys, and that like again, not like I'm sucking up to Bernie. I don't want another token belt or anything. I don't mean it that way, but like I think I probably would have been like, right, I can't come back to this sport or anything until I'm like 100% healthy. But because of Bernie and the coaching opportunities and stuff, I'm still staying involved because moment that Paolo came up to me and was like, I haven't seen you that happy in years. Like, it does, this club and the sport as well, like, mean a lot to me. So like, I'm super grateful because Bernie was like, when you were off with your back, you were like hiding away because I feel a bit like down and out and sorry for myself.
You used to say to me, like, I think, did I injure myself or I was off or something?
Yeah.
And you said,
your hand or something.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, I can't just come and sit and watch. It does my head in.
Yeah.
And so when you did your back, you was hardly around.
No.
And then,
And
then you was back. Then you started coming back a bit, and it was really good. And then now you've done your knee. So how long are you off now?
So I won't train.
You had a failed.
Yeah, they failed to repair the meniscus. So horrific, horrible thing to have to happen. But like, I try and look at it. I'm normally pretty negative in life, not with jiu-jitsu. But I'm like, at least they messed up my knee operation, not my spine operation, because that'd be a completely different story. The way they messed up my knee operation is basically they didn't get to repair it to the extent they wanted to.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, it's terrible. They're basically like, hopefully, stringent brace and rehab, we've pulled it back into place. And it's in a red zone on the meniscus, if it means anything, which is where it gets blood flow, it might heal itself.
So how long?
I won't be back on a match till February next year.
Oh.
Yeah, which would be a year since I had my spine operation. But it is what it is. I know it's real. If I get healthy again, I'd love to compete in jiu-jitsu. But like, again, the club Bernie's created, you guys, the community, like... Coming in and having those hard roles with John, Chris and Frank. I know Chris was visiting. Like, you weren't there, Mason.
Oh, sorry.
You weren't there, Mason. Or you didn't call me out because you didn't want me getting hurt.
Yeah.
But we do have good... That's one of the main things I wanted to say about... I don't like pride myself. I mean, these were all hard things, competing, doing MMA and in jiu-jitsu. Like, and I've done that and that's cool to me. That's just for me. But that's one thing I've always wanted to do and I think... Not that I'm trying to big myself up, but I've always wanted to be a good training partner. And the fact that people like you and Sean will roll with me as a 100-kilogram guy, like that's what I want to be part of in the jiu-jitsu scene and in a club that Bernie's created. I want people to be able to come with me, use me as a body and train with me when they're 60 kilograms and they want to work stuff or they just want to roll light. Like, I want to be able to roll with the big guys, small guys, basically.
Yeah.
I just want to be a good training partner and like grow as a coach. That's like my main focus now.
Yeah.
Sounding like I'm in my mid 40s, but unfortunately I'm only just turned 36. But I think that is a reality now with my injuries and the fact I still have a manual job. It's
Yeah.
got to try and weigh it up.
That's it.
And
right. Sorry.
I'm sorry for rambling, mate.
No, it's been a good episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Mason.
And
thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Dax.
Yeah, Dax is the main show. But yeah, awesome. Well, hopefully your recovery goes well and we get train again soon. But
yeah, man.
For now, just rest, innit?
We will be back on the mats next year.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the 24-hour rollathon.
Yes.
Just as a viewer.
I need to work out how I stop this.
Sorry, Mason. Fucking rambling.